third twin is Allison. If she walked in, you would know we're sisters, you wouldn't know we were twins. She's an executive HR person, so she is very black and white, and she doesn't think that I work because I'm in real estate. Right? That's what I say all the time. So I made some notes, but I'm just going to kind of keep it casual and tell you about our story. Thank y'all for coming to hear me. Thank y'all for the support from my Premier South agents. I appreciate it. But again, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you to the GBA for having me. I love to talk about Premier South because it's one of my babies. I have 3, my kids and it. It is 6 years old, and my background spans back to accounting. I used to be a corporate accounting for Bank of America, and my dad he's retired, a commercial electrical contractor. So he had an entrepreneur spirit. He had owned his own company my whole life, and I think that's where I got it from. I think it's innate. Either you're an entrepreneur or you're not, right? So I am, and my twin is not. She likes the consistent paycheck. She likes the 401k. She likes, the consistent stuff. So I think for me that's what drove me to start my own. I remember going to him and saying, I was here to have kids, and I said, I think I'm going to real estate. It'll be fun, make lots of money. Okay, those are 2 big misconceptions. Misconceptions. And I was like, I'm going to go to work for Century 21 Heck Realty. And he was like, because I lived in Denver at the time, and he was like, no, you're not. We're starting our own. What do you mean we're starting our own? He got his license in 1980, did nothing with it. He just liked to get his license. I was like, we don't know anything about it. And he was like, we'll figure it out. And we did. So I had a local firm in Gaston County for 13 years while I was raising my babies, right? So I was kind of part-time with it. Got recruited to go over to probably year 14. My kids were older, and then Keller Williams was all over me to come run an office, come run an office, come run an office. And I knew some people in the organization, so I finally gave way to that and did that. I went in to the Keller Williams Cornelius branch and ended up 2 weeks into it, I hated it. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was stuck in the office, somebody else's schedule, because that's not entrepreneur, right? That's not real estate. Hated it. I'm like, what have I done? So that was my first lesson in course correcting, right? I got to fail forward. That's one of my big mottos that I tell our agents. You got to fail forward. And for an accountant, a type A, 1 + 1 is 2. It's really hard to get that mindset to fail forward because we're going to analyze everything to death. We're going to make sure we got the right options, right? So I quickly went to the leadership team and said, this is not fit for me. And they ended up saying, well, we need a coaching program. I'm like, well, what is that? They're like, we have no idea. And I'm like, okay. They said, Valentine has one. I'm like, well, okay. So I called up the Valentine coaching person. I was like, I'm coming to watch your program. And I ended up creating a sales coaching program for 5 Keller Williams offices. And that I loved. I loved coaching agents. I loved helping them. I loved seeing their businesses succeed. I mean, the mama comes out of me. The hardcore accountability is tough, right? But that's what you need if you're an entrepreneur. You need somebody holding you accountable to your goals, right? I love that. I was told, I thought I was going to start a Keller Williams franchise here in Gaston County. So I kind of sat back and waited a little bit for that, probably about a year, waited on that. That never came to fruition. And I know sometimes that we can be somewhat loyal to a fault, right? Because Keller Williams had been really good to me. And I remember super frustrated and felt like I'd been given this great opportunity. And how could I be thinking I want to do something else when this is going great, but it's not what I wanted, right? And I remember talking to my dad again, getting counsel from him, and please don't take this the wrong way, but he told me to stop thinking like, a mama, or start thinking like a mama. And he was like, Gary Keller, who owns Keller Williams, he's like, Gary Keller does not think about you when he's trying to make decisions. Why are you thinking about him? And I was like, wow. He was like, you need to think about your family and what's going to work for them. So that was like a slap in my face. I'm like, you're so right. I thought I was being a team player and doing the right things, and I was like, but nobody else is looking out for Angela or Samantha and Evan. So I was like, you know what? You're right. So I quietly exited real estate, or quietly exited the Keller Williams firm and actually bought a franchise. I don't know if a lot of people know that or not, and to open in Gaston County called SellSafe. We were in business, I don't know, all of 9 months. And the first 2 months, I knew I'd made a mistake. And I was like, okay. Like, it goes against the second principle that I've learned a lot, trust your gut. You gotta trust your gut in business, right? I remember going to the franchise organization, going to all the meetings, sitting there going, I don't know about this, but I'm gonna bet on myself. I need all the tools to start something. That's kind of what I told myself. So I was 6 months in it, and I went to my leadership team. I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is not working. I had signed a 10-year franchise agreement. 10-year franchise. You know, a lot of people know that. So y'all came today. You're learning all this, right? I love it. Y'all can tell people y'all got the scoop. So I signed a 10-year franchise agreement. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I had to find a franchise attorney. I had to go to litigation. I had to spend a year trying to get out of the franchise agreement, which I did for a cost. We did. And I had to grow. Premier South was born out of that, and I had to grow it at the same time. So mentally, it was very difficult dealing with this litigation and then going on and trying to build Premier South. But I can tell you, once I released that franchise stuff, I felt like a weight was lifting off of me, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go. This is what we're gonna do. And Premier South has been in business about 6 years, right? So it was probably the first 2 years really tough, right? I started Premier South with the assumption selling real estate in Gaston County for 20-something years. I knew what agents wanted because I'm an agent, right? And I want to be agent-led and agent-focused. That's why I want Premier South to be. So I decided that in order to be successful, we had to have a leadership team. Like a lot of brokerages, I could have started it with me doing all the recruiting, doing all the compliance, paying all the checks, being the BEC. But at the end of the day, I've got my kids, Samantha and Evan, who were also high school is aged, right? And that's when they were the busiest. And I was like, I'm mom first, because that was kind of where I wanted to be, right? So I knew I had to create a leadership team. And that was, people ask me what contributed to some of the success. And I think it's starting with a leadership team is what did it. It wasn't me doing it all. And listen, first 2 years, like I'm barely making payroll. There's no profit. There's anything. But it allowed me to be able to set standards and to scale, right? So I would do that again. I had somebody ask me yesterday, they were asking me questions and they were like, how do you divide your time? And I said, well, how many jobs are you doing exactly? And they were telling me, I'm like, you need a team, right? Even if you can't afford it, you need a team. Like Premier South, we couldn't afford it. Like we would not have grown to where we at if it was all based on me, right? Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm not the broker in charge, but I'm very direct. I'd probably run off every agent that I recruited if they called me up and they had a problem, right? I'd be like, well, you're wrong, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that's not the way to be, right? So I think starting the leadership team was, starting with that was challenging for myself as a business owner, but it really set what we were supposed to be doing. Everybody had their own job, and then it allowed us to build systems, right? Also in the first 2 years, like we were closing 125 deals yearly. This past year we closed close to 1680 deals, right? So, and the first 2 years that we started, the leadership team allowed us to be able to create those systems, right? We have to create systems, we have to create leverage. I think running a successful business, you have to create leverage, right? You have to have something that you're not the be-all, end-all for everything. And that's what I tell entrepreneurs. And that's what I tell my agents too, right? So my agents, like, you don't be a pop-top agent. Just because somebody calls you, don't pop up, right? They have to wait in line at the doctor's office. They're going to wait in line for you because you're a professional, right? So it's some mindset when it comes to that. It's just teaching my agents that, because I want to side note, and I love that we're recording this, and please don't come at me, public. Public is hard. Public is really hard to work with, right? The sense of entitlement, but we're dealing with the biggest purchase of their life, some of them, right? The emotions get all in the way, right? So how are we effectively doing that, right? So on the leadership team, another thing that I think that made us somewhat be able to grow is we're big on education. I learned that from Keller Williams. I learned that from my days of growing agents. I don't do a lot of coaching anymore, which is probably my first love because of my schedule, but we try to offer a ton of value for our agents, right? And when I was looking at coming off of my franchise and coming into Premier South, my biggest thing is, what do agents want, right? What do agents want? Not what does an owner want, because I know what owner wants, right? Owner wants profit, they want accountability, right? They want to be first, but what do agents want? Because real estate is very relational. It is my belief that people do business with the Kims, Chisas, the Shones of the world, the Marys of the world because of who they are, not of what company they're with, right? And that mindset has changed a little bit too. It's shifting, right? So it used to be you had to be with the big brokerage. Well, Premier South, I'll put our technology package up against the big brokerage, right? We got what everybody else has got, right? So when you're teaching about relationships and you're educating about relationships, that has gone a long way to the growth of Premier South, because my agents now know it's not about the name Premier South. We want our agents to brand themselves. I want my agents to take the credit. I am partnering with them, right? And when we partner with them, and it's that mindset of abundance. So anybody that's setting up a company or getting ready to do it, you have to have a mindset of abundance and not scarcity, right? There's a lot of people that lead with scarcity, which is a fear-based mindset in my opinion, right? There's enough business to go around, right? There's enough business to go around. So if I can lead from a abundance mindset, and if I can tell my agents, I mean, side note, a lot of people that I've been doing deals with for 15 years, like, you're crazy. Like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't even know what no, that's not gonna work. I'm like, it'll work. And now they're like, okay. But I said, it'll work. If you invest in your agents, you invest in what they want, and you give them what they need, Premier South gonna get what we need, right, in the end, right? So it's a scarcity mindset. I mean, an abundance mindset that I think has grown us as well, right? I think that agents feel supported. I think that's a big deal. I think culture is huge. I think culture is huge. I think that our platform, okay, so you heard I was a twin, so everything has to be fair for me, right? I've got agents that'll be like, I'll come if you'll buy my signs. I'm like, nope, I didn't buy their signs. I'm not buying your signs. I mean, they're $100, buy your own signs, right? But, you know, everything has to be fair. And while I was like, God, it's $100 to buy their signs, I'm like, no, it's the integrity of the model, right? It's integrity of what I say. And I have sat back and thought, you know what? It just leads into the way they know they'll be treated when they eventually do come over. And they sit back and they're like, okay, we get it, we understand it. But I think you have to have integrity in everything you do, right? And as a leader, I think you have to be approachable. I am very hands-on. Like, you come in the office and there I sit in the back, right? Like, I'm not one of these just in and out, like, hey, good luck everybody. My leadership team sometimes thinks I micromanage a little bit, but I am very hands-on. And when I start with we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, they're like, oh Lord, you know. But I think you need someone that's visible, someone that people can relate to, someone that people feel good with, right? And again, I'm not in the day-to-day real estate stuff, so I feel like sometimes it's a breath of fresh air for me to encourage and support, right? Because real estate's hard. Real estate's very hard, right? So I think being approachable is a big deal as well, right? I think that for us, growing Premier South, we do have offices. We're downtown Belmont. We're located next to the eye doctor, right behind the new butcher shop. So if you haven't been there, just come park in our parking lot. Everybody else. We also have an office in Fort Mill, South Carolina, so we're licensed in both states. And I think that, having great leaders in both of those locations have allowed my agents to be supported as well, and feel like they're part of a brand, feel like they are part of good culture, right? And I don't necessarily have a lot of competition from my leadership team as well, which is very helpful, right? That's very helpful. I learned through the past years in growing Premier South that, I mean, it's hard, right? Coming into Gaston County, I thought I needed a franchise, and if I didn't, building a brand new brand is hard. People are like, who? You're who? Nobody knows you, right? Got that a ton, right? And I'm like, okay, but you gotta keep going, right? It's a mindset, right? 6.5 years later, I'm like, okay. It's very difficult to do that, right? It's very difficult. I think that you invest in people, and I think you invest in systems. So if we have issues that come up in Premier South, when I know that we had to, because we had growing pains, we still have growing pains, right? When we hit a wall and the same thing keeps happening over and over and over again, I say to myself, okay, one or two things need to happen. Either we need another person or we need a better system. That'll solve the issue, right? So that has kind of been our mantra too. Whenever things keep happening, like, okay, what do we have to fix? How are we gonna do that? So that's helped as well. I think our model, people like our model. It's a financially pleasing model to our agents. It's back to, what really the agents want. I think that Premier South is, we've got about we're a little bit shy of 300 agents, and we got like 179 in the Gaston County area, and the rest of them are up in the Fort Mill area. That's a lot of agents to kind of rally and, keep going. So that's, gotta have systems, right? You gotta have leverage. You gotta have people. Agents come to me all the time with great ideas. Oh, let's do this, let's do that. And I'm like, okay, my accounting background, like, what's the business plan for that? What's the pro forma? Like, we're entrepreneurs. Everything's a shiny object. Right? Oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. And I'm like, no. 3 things consistently is what's gonna work. 3 things consistently. And then getting people to focus on that, because it's not sexy, it's boring. It's the lead gen part of it is difficult, but if I get people to focus on that, then their business is gonna grow, right? Someone asked me the other day, how do I know when I've been focusing on the wrong thing? I was like, that's a great question. I got interviewed by this guy in college. This kid, he wants to do a startup company. I consider it a startup. He goes, how do you know you're focusing on the wrong thing? I was like, when I look at my P&L, and we hadn't had a good month, and I can't blame the agents because the market might stink. That means I didn't do my job of recruiting to try to bring more agents in, right? So I know I'm focused on the 80% of my job, which I like, versus the 20%, which is the hardest, whenever we're not hitting our goals, right? So I gotta get out there and do the stuff I don't wanna do, I don't like doing. So whatever you don't wanna do, entrepreneurs, that's what you should be doing. That's what you should be doing to move your business forward. Take that away. Yep, that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? And then my other thing, with growing Premier South, I do think that the Lord has definitely blessed it, right? I think He's in it with me. I also think that you have to, as leaders, surround yourself with people, like, this is a great organization to learn from, right? I want to surround myself, I want to be with, I don't want to walk in the room and know it all. I want to be in a room where there's 5 people smarter than me, 5 people that have done it better than me, so I can learn. Those are the intimidating rooms. Those are the ones I'm like, but those are where you learn, right? You need to be involved with masterminds. I have 3 great business owners of real estate firms that we get together quarterly and just kind of go through stuff. Even if we get together just to complain about how hard real estate is. You need that, right? You gotta vent, but you gotta find your people in this lonely world of entrepreneurship, because it is lonely, right? Wouldn't you agree? I think sometimes it can be lonely. So you gotta find your people, right? So that's a big ramble. I didn't even look at my notes, but I'm sure I'm probably missing a ton of stuff. Oh, let me tell you my mindset for this year going forward. Like, people always ask me what's next for Premier South. A couple of things that we were able to do this year, past years, we were able to open some affiliate companies. We opened a real estate brokerage. We opened a mortgage brokerage to help with our buyer transactions, to provide a service that way. And we also opened a title insurance company, because when you buy a house, you're gonna get title insurance, right? So we have some affiliate businesses as well. And we're creating an ecosystem for our agents, because we wanna do, like, I guess I was always raised very competitive. I sit back and I study. Like, what's everybody doing? What do I need to be doing? What do I need to be offering? Right? And how am I gonna kind of give a better offering? Right? And then what's not working? Something's not working, you gotta change it. You gotta course correct quickly, right? But my word for 2026 is focus. And I told my team it's focus. And what does that mean to me? That means I'm gonna focus on the 20% of the things that I don't wanna be doing, number one. And number two, I'm gonna focus and be present in the other times when I'm doing stuff. I'm gonna say no to more things that I haven't said no to before, because it's in the way of my goals. I can't be the be all end all. I wanna be focused on my kids when I'm sitting there and they're laughing at their mom because they're 2 college kids, right? I don't wanna worry about that phone call that I just missed, right? So I think mental health for me is a big deal in order to be an effective leader. And I think it's okay for leaders to say no to some stuff. That's a change in your mindset, because you think you gotta be the be all end all, or your agents are gonna leave if you say, no, I can't come to your open house, right? But you have to create a little bit of separation so you can keep growing the business. And that, I think, the last 2 years have helped me a little bit with Premier South, and it's gonna help this year. I've got one more affiliate thing I'm working on that I really wanna get rolled out. So if I can focus on it, then we'll be able to, offer some more services. So I would encourage you to come up with a word. If you don't have a word for 2026. You got one?
I did one this year.
You did one? What's yours?
KISS.
KISS. Keep it simple.
KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Stupid. Keep it. So last year my word was simplicity.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we can complicate everything.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes. Anybody else got a word?
Relevance.
Relevance. What's that mean to you?
That what I do is relevant.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. What you do is relevant. Kind of like an affirmation.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Anybody else?
Growth.
Growth. What's that mean to you?
To me, that means for not only the business, but also myself as a leader to grow and to understand, maybe putting myself in the shoes of somebody that I work with.
Yeah.
And getting to know what is their pain point and how do I help
Right.
figure that out.
Right. Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Anybody else? No? Well, I would challenge you to think up a word. And sometimes I forget my word when I get sidetracked. And I'm like, you gotta focus, Angela. Yeah, so, yeah, it's fun. Tell me what questions you have. Yes, ma'am.
I think a big thing that you have perfected and that affects every business owner, every entrepreneur, is branding. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you created your branding and what worked and what didn't work for you?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I'm very picky on our branding, because, people gotta see us, they gotta know who we are. So start now, the biggest thing that grew my brand is whenever we started doing accolades for our agents and putting our branding on that. So whenever Sean had a closing, or Kim had a listing, or they had a buyer, we're behind the scenes creating all their marketing tools for them, and we're pushing that out at a company level, right? So the team had invested in a marketing expert that could do all that, because my agents are busy selling and busy doing stuff. And a lot of people were watching that, and they were going, I love how you give them accolades, right? That built us more than anything for branding. Like, I think there's things you gotta look at for the best time to post on social media and the best time to do stuff like that. There's all that kind of stuff. I don't necessarily get into that. I think there's a long way we could go with our branding. I think the biggest thing is just making sure we were relevant on social media and making sure that we were tagging our agents and people knew what we were doing. right? And honestly, I just joined GBA last year. Like, I'm just now starting to get it out on the corporate level, right? So I think, branding that and helping the agents grow their business has in turn helped us grow our business. I think that, we were doing it all by hand. We just, enlisted an automation service. I'm not crazy about what they look like. It's not pretty 100% branding to me, but it's getting the job done, and we still throw in our stuff. But I think it's about, you gotta be plastered everywhere. Your name's gotta be plastered everywhere. People gotta know who you are.
That brand recognition.
Yeah, you gotta have that. And so the first couple of years, it was hard when I'm recruiting, calling people, who? You're with who? I don't know who you are. I'd always say, well, hey, go check out our Facebook page or our website, or, you know, so that's hard. And we're doing a lot of sponsorships too, right? Trying to get that helps as well. But the biggest thing was just really starting out, doing our agent accolades. The commission, North Carolina, so we're governed by real estate commission. So they make it really easy for us, because we tell our agents, you have to put Premier South on your stuff, because that's a real estate law. So that has helped us to grow. And the more agents I get, the bigger the brand grows, right? And the visibility's out there. And then I've got great agents. They're all invested in the vision. They wear their Premier South t-shirts. They love the culture. They wear their sweatshirts. They're always asking for swag. That has been great, because you keep people happy. They want to show off who they're with.
Free stuff.
Yes, and free stuff as well. Yeah, but they love that. So, again, I'm not very good with the timing. I mean, anybody know Travis Wilson in here? He's one of our agents. He's so good with social media. He comes in the door like, this is boring, this is boring, this is boring. I'm like, Travis. But he does all the great TikToks and all that. We haven't got that far yet, but that's coming. I think that's coming next. Yeah, that's a good question. What other questions?
So on that same note, then how do you protect your brand? Like you said that, you know, dealing with public is hard. Like sometimes, you know, there are people who just can't seem to please, and you have a feeling that, well, this person's gonna probably be bad review or damage, right? How do you do that? How do you
So that's really hard, because that's really hard. We have a couple of systems that we automated for automatic reviews. When we close, we automatically send something out for Google reviews. If it comes back in a 3-star or less, which we've only gotten 2 for our agents, it won't post. That doesn't stop them from going to Google and slamming us, right? What in my experience, we hadn't had a lot of negativity. What we have had is more behind the scenes, where people have been unhappy with my agents, and they have, let's see, how do I say this? They have filed real estate complaints that we've had to deal with, right? And that's been kept more, we don't go out and tell the public that, right? So, like, don't do this person, because they just got this. But a lot of times, it's not, anything we have done wrong. We've never had a bad filing against us or anything. People are just, everybody's so happy.
People are mean.
Everybody's so happy right now. So how we affect this and how I do it. If we get a bad review on Google, we'll respond. But honestly, this is what I told my agents, and this is great advice I got from my dad one time. He was like, the bigger you get, the bigger target you're gonna have on your back. You gotta keep going. Don't let it affect you mentally, because that bad review, everybody sees that person. You're gonna have, to that one, you're gonna have 10, so you can't let it affect you. I used to think I wanted to be an attorney. So I wanted to fight everything to the death. Like, nuh-uh, my son's like that. He wants to be an attorney. We would go to head to toe about it. I'm like, you know, but in business, I had to adapt a win-win mentality. And that has helped me deal with that. So I have to step back and be like, okay, I know it's not true, or maybe it is, and then I have a conversation with the agent, but I can't let it affect me mentally. Because there's gonna be more people that do put good stuff. But it's hard. We've had some stuff that's happened, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But you just know it's coming. I think about we are nowhere near Keller Williams, EXP. We're nowhere near the size, and I always say, well, how do their owners handle this? Because you know they have experienced it if I've experienced it. And that makes me calm down and realize it's not just happened to me, the world's falling. Right? I sit back and say, well, how'd they do that? And they laugh at me. My leadership team's like, well, who cares what Keller Williams? I was like, no, the point is it happens. So that's kind of my mentality on it. Question? What? Who else? Yes.
A little bit of a comment and a question.
Yep.
First and foremost, I think it's really crazy how you're in a completely different industry than I am.
Okay, what's your industry?
I work in sports. I work for the ball team.
Oh, love it, okay.
But the parallels
Yeah.
from you having the difficulties with litigation
Right.
and getting everything started,
Right,
we're dealing with the same kind of thing.
right.
My question is, during those hard first couple of years, I'm sure there were a lot of times that were very hard, I mean, especially for your employees. How did you keep people happy and keep people moving during the hard times?
So I think the biggest thing is, this is what I said, leadership's lonely sometimes. I'm not telling everybody all the woes. My attitude is, contagious. And if I'm positive about things, then my leadership's gonna be positive about things. So that's the first thing. The second thing for me, Premier South was born at a difficult time in my life as well, and I had 2 kids, and I ultimately wanna build a legacy for them. So there's no option for failure, right? That's really what drives me, that's my why, right? But I think it's, me dealing with federal litigation, me dealing with counsel, keeping a lot of stuff internally, and trying to move forward with how I wanted things to go, right? Cause you gotta move forward, or you'll get stuck in it.
Right.
And oh, woe is me, or whatever. But the biggest thing is, like, nobody knew we were going through it. Like, if nobody, my agents didn't even know it until I just shared it, right? And I think that was the biggest thing for me. Now, y'all are different, cause I know it's like, some things are kinda out there, people know, and the media gets involved, and everybody's negative. It's really hard to turn around a brand. It's really hard to turn around when negative things happen. I do think, and I hate this cliche, but I do think that sometimes I have to tell myself, this too shall pass, right? This too shall pass, and it's eventually gonna get where it needs to be. And I think time does separate some of the stuff. Yeah, you're welcome, let them answer it. What else you got? Yes, ma'am.
So, Premier South, I work there, I am there, I'm an agent there, and we have a great culture. We have good relationships there, we have a lot of trust there. Why do you think people trust Premier South, and why do you think people enjoy it so much there?
Okay, I'm biased. I mean, I'm biased, but I think real estate has changed a lot in the past 5 to 7 years. I think the way business owners have changed. I think me coming in, I had a different mindset. This is gonna sound like, let's see, y'all know how it is. I think that, you gotta have a visionary leader. You gotta have somebody that sees what's coming and can get you there, right? And you gotta have integrators. Well, I'm visionary. I'm not stuck on what everybody, I like to see what everyone's doing, but I'm like, that's not gonna work. Where are we going? And I think there's a mentality for agents in the Gaston County area specifically, where they're like, they needed some fresh ideas. They needed some new stuff. They needed to know what's coming new from real estate versus the same old, you get business by door knocking. I mean, so I think providing some of the vision that I had and where I saw us going, and it was completely different than all the other brokerages around here, and that was hard. Because people were like, that's crazy, that's not gonna work, right? And, yeah, they, like, that's not gonna work, I'm like, it is, right? So you have to be a visionary, and I think agents have appreciated that, the difference in the feel and the things that we are doing differently and the new things we are doing, right? We are evolving and changing, where I think it was getting stagnant, right? Even where I was at, like, it's getting stagnant, right? Even my real estate was stagnant, right, when I was doing buying and selling. So I think agents have come along with it, and they've trusted the vision, and they've seen it come to fruition. If we'd have flopped, right, if I didn't do what I was gonna say I was gonna do, that's a big thing, you gotta do what you're gonna say you're gonna do, right? Then I think that has helped us. But yeah, good. Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are a lot of national and even international brands that people can choose from.
Yep.
And you're a locally focused agency. what have you found as far as like the general marketplace? Is there a preference for going local, and are people finding an advantage with that, or are they, is there a big preference for people going, with the larger companies?
So I think that, I think it's, again, a shift in the mindset. I think our sellers that have had houses for a long time, they're more likely to have listed first with the Charlotte firm, because they think the Charlotte agents are gonna bring over the Charlotte people, when in essence, the Charlotte agents don't know our market, they don't know about the stuff coming, they don't know what's going on, right? So they end up not getting the attention from those Charlotte agents. I think it's a mindset. I think they have to have a big brand. So the older sellers, when I say older, someone that have been in their houses for all, even buyers, they think they have to have the biggest and the best. Whenever I've been selling for 22 years, so my first 10 years, that was our biggest competition, was all the Charlotte agents. I don't know if anybody else has been selling in here that long. Would you agree? Like, I just think that they thought Charlotte was the way to go. It has evolved and changed. It really has, over the last 5 to 7 years. If we were looking at our MLS, the amount of listings in Gaston County, it's supported by local agents, right? So I think that's driven by relationships, and I think it's also driven by the number of agents we have in the business. There are a ton of agents, there are more agents now than whenever I started. There's so many people that think real estate's, great, so everybody has relationships. And I think that's driven the local market, the influx of agents that we have. Kinda what I think. I don't know if y'all would agree with that, but that's what I think.
The agents, the agents are better in Gastonia now than they were 20 years ago.
Yes.
They've got the education, they've got the support. I think I see that.
Yep. And listen, we've dealt on a national level with the commission lawsuits that came out, the DOJ, telling us we had to change all our stuff. Like, we are always changing. To me, real estate is not about selling a house. That's the easy part. Real estate is about dealing with all the legality and dealing with the emotions and dealing with, it's harder and harder to sell. And that's what I tell my leadership team. When our agents come to us and they're frustrated, they're lashing out on us because something happened, like, step back. Like, why are they upset? It's harder to close a deal nowadays with everything we got going on. It's harder to come by it. People are motivated by money. They need this deal to close, right? So we have to meet people where they're at, right? But yeah, we're always having to educate because of everything that has been changing so much.
Being a therapist is a big part of it.
Being a therapist. Being a therapist. So I say, and I mean no disrespect, I know my Premier South agents, I feel like they're my children, right? But I say sometimes, I love y'all. I say sometimes I traded one crazy, buyers and sellers, for another crazy on my agents, right? Like, I just feel like it's just, that's fair, right? So it's a challenging job, but, yeah, everybody has the potential to succeed. Everybody has the potential to succeed, and that's kind of my motto. I'm sitting back, I wanna help, I wanna grow your business. We wanna help, so, yeah. Okay, long-winded tangent on that, but who's got another question?
I have a
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
When you have your culture and everybody has that potential to succeed, you have your leadership team and you have your agents, do you require professional development in any kind of sector, just with your agents and just with your leadership, so they can be learning the market, the culture, and things like that going on in the communities?
So that's a really good question. All of our agents are considered independent contractors, right? So they're not employees of Premier South, independent contractors. We encourage what they wanna do, but we don't require designations. The ones that wanna rise to the cream of the crop will, right? And they will get their designations. Now, the flip side of that is some people only wanna be book people and get their designations and never try to sell, so then we have to try to help them figure out a way around that. As far as leadership goes, we do take advantage of some personal development, but we are required also to do continuing education, agents as well. We have to keep up on that. My leadership team is fantastic. Like, they're telling me things I don't know. They're asking me if I signed up for this town hall that I didn't even know I was supposed to sign up for South Carolina, new forms that are rolling out next week, right? So they're really good. They're self-starters themselves, right? The biggest thing we do for development on the leadership side is twice a year I make them take a DISC test, I don't know if y'all know what that is. Tony Robbins did, I don't know if he made it, but what's your personality, or DISC, that way I know how to coach them. And I know how they're gonna work together, right? So that's a big deal. I need to know their styles. Just because I'm direct doesn't mean my other lady who, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, just tell me what you wanna do, right? I have to understand how to coach that. We have not had, I think in leadership, you gotta be slow to hire. Slow to hire, quick to fire. Slow to hire, quick to fire. So I do have a lot of people that would love to partner with Premier South and come on to leadership, and I'm like, so far we're good. Like, we have not had a turnover in leadership since we started, and I think that's a testament to they're invested in the vision. They feel supported as well. Good question. What else?
I like that question.
Yeah.
One question, entrepreneur-wise.
Yes.
So, so my business is more faith-based.
Yes.
So I do a lot of things with churches,
Mhm.
but I would really like to do more things with companies and organizations. The fear is, I feel like if they go on my site, they may say, oh, she's faith-based, I don't know if that's gonna work for us. So is it a disservice for me not to maybe step out into that market and still say, hey, here I am, this is what I can do? Or should I just stay with my niche? Should I stay in my lane and just stick
Your
with?
lane working for you?
Not so much.
Okay. So, here, there's a thing called Go for the No.
Okay.
It's called Go for the No. So, you want people to tell you no. The more no's that you get, you're closer to a yes.
Okay.
That means I have done my job of lead genning. You're not gonna get a yes with every person you go out to. If they don't appreciate your product, that's fine, there's somebody else there that will. But if you're not out there being an advocate for your product, if you believe in it to all specters, then you should.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay.
I think that you go for the no. Not everybody's gonna tell you yes. And Premier South's not for everybody, and that's okay. I had to learn that. I couldn't get my feelings hurt. Right? I couldn't get my feelings hurt. I had to learn that. So it's called Go for the No. The more no's you get, you're closer to a yes. So I say go all in.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
So, did you say you have 400 agents?
300.
300 agents, and you have a leadership team?
Uh-huh.
And so do those agents get assigned to one of the
Yes.
leaders, and then they check in with them?
Yes,
And
yes. We
and
have.
that's their accountability
That's
there?
their, yes, we have two, broker in charges that run each offices that are mandated with that, all the agents fall under, and that's their person. And then I'm doing leadership meetings with them, who submitted this loop, who hadn't submitted their loop, what, who's touched in with this person. We have a good, real estate is not about recruiting it's about recruiting agents, it's always my company, it's always about retention. Cause if I'm out there recruiting, then other companies are trying to pull my agents. So how are we retaining them? So one thing that my leadership team does is we do quarterly check-ins with all my agents. How you doing? Sometimes when we call, I call. They're like, what I do? I'm like, how you doing? I mean, I don't wanna know what you did. How's your family? That's what I wanna know, right? So I think that has helped cause people feel supported. I think that's helped. So everyone is assigned a particular task, and that's what has allowed us to be able to grow. And I say, I recruit them, I bring the people in, I love talking about Premier South, but then I hand them to the leadership team, and you gotta have a fantastic team. They can pick up and take over, and they're off to the races. It's great. It's great, but it's gotta be a good handoff. Okay, I think we're winding down. Any last questions? Okay, so I'm gonna ask everybody, I'm gonna do to y'all what I do to my agents, it's just the coaching me. Anything y'all took away from today, so I know that it was worth your time? Anything that you feel like, oh, that made sense? Anybody wanna shout something out, so I kinda know it's worth your time?
Well, I can say after a past year being surrounded by your agents, that they seem uncaged, if I was gonna give that a
Oh,
word.
okay,
They have freedoms.
I love that.
And they can be themselves, they can enjoy their personality, they can do their business, and then they can have the support behind them. So that's what I see from
I
them.
love that. Cool, thank you. Anybody else?
I think for me, more reassurance than anything. Hearing your story and hearing as I mentioned before, all the parallels that we have for
Yeah.
years, and, knowing that there's a light.
Yes.
It's just a reminder that,
Yes.
hey, all this work that you're putting in, there is something at the end
Yes.
that's gonna be able to showcase that.
Yes,
So, a nice reassurance.
yeah, keep going, it's there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what he said, because I'm in, growing a business in healthcare, and sports, real estate, healthcare, still, it's so many parallels, I agree, and so it's very reassuring, the loneliness in it,
Yeah.
the go for the no,
Yeah.
that was great, thank you.
You're welcome. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And simple is not easy, Kiss. Simple is not easy. Yes,
It takes focus.
yes.
Whatever you don't want to do it first.
I'm gonna tell you about
That's one.
That is so true in real estate.
It is.
There's- You can't do everything, and in real estate, you're responsible for doing everything.
Yes,
And you have to be good at everything, and you can't.
yes.
And so you have to, if you don't wanna take that 20% and try to be good at it, then you need to pay someone else to do that.
Correct.
And that way you can spend more time doing what you wanna do. But I will say as a Premier South agent, that in my first 3 years of real estate, I bounced around from one brokerage to another every year, saying, this is not it. They're not providing me everything I need. And then when I came to Premier South, the fourth brokerage that I've been at in 4 years, you provided what the competition didn't. You provided it all, and you were supportive. And it was very comforting, because I was getting frustrated in real estate saying, why is the brokerage taking this much from me and not giving something in return? And they may give this, but then the BIC's not supportive. Or they may have a semi-supportive BIC, but they don't have the training and the infrastructure. And so when I came to Career South, you provided everything that the competition was missing, and with a warm, friendly smile. And then, so your supportive team too, as you've said, has not turned over, and that's right. I mean, I've had the same BIC since I started. And they check in. If they haven't seen me at a local event or something like that, Stacy will check in. Hey, Sean, I haven't seen you. How's things going? And just check in with you. And then the response time from the BIC is great. It took me a second. So, I worked with EXP, and they had great training, but I could never get the BIC on the phone.
Right.
Never. And it's like, that's so important in your first couple of years in real estate. You need that support, and that wasn't there. So, I appreciate you bringing me onto the team.
Thank you. I'm glad we beat your record. You
Yes.
got left. I love it. Thank you.
I like that you reminded us to, have vision.
Right.
And that's what I love most about Premier South. We're not in the same place today that we're gonna be tomorrow. Like, we're always looking for how we're gonna be better. And I think that's important in business, like, not to just stay with the status quo, but to look forward, and you reminded us to do that.
Awesome. Well, I have so enjoyed today. I felt like I rambled a lot, but I apologize. But thank you all for coming. If I can ever do anything to help you or help your business or anything, or just want to chat, please feel free to reach out. Thank y'all for having me again. It's been great, and I'll turn it over.
Thanks, Angela. Thank you so much. A few months ago, after Angela joined with us,